We are live.
We are live. Let me see if it says I'm live on Facebook.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah, hopefully we're going to give it a couple minutes for everybody to trickle in while we check and make sure we're up live on Facebook and YouTube and get going there. So we'll give it a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, good to see everybody coming in. I love that Sheila and Paul and Jack are always first.
Yeah,
they are waiting to jump in because they never know when they're going to be jumping in as a guest as well. So glad that they're there. And are you starting to see anybody else coming in yet?
Yeah, we're getting people trickling in, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, I do see people now trickling in, mostly on YouTube today. So we have all sorts of different websites that people get to come in from. So when we stream live to our foreclosure listing service YouTube page, our Real Estate Rockstars radio Facebook page. What's up, Roy? Good to see you, dude. Our Real Estate Rockstars, so our YouTube pages, and then Real Estate Rockstars Facebook, my Aaron Mujtagi Facebook, Roddy's Foreclosure Listing Service Facebook. I'm going to go on and share it right now to my personal page. See if we get a little bit more people here today. And there's Sheila saying hi too. All right, so now there's actually a bunch of people on here watching, and so today's webinar is gonna be pretty simple, right? Like Curtis, our goal was, auction is in a couple days, so we're down to the last quarter of 2020. If you're like, I can't wait for 2020 to be over, but the other reality is there's 3 months left to make this year awesome, and if you haven't figured out now how you're going to adjust your life to the weird normal of 2020, you need to, right? So we've got 3 months left to try to make some things happen. We had to shift and change a bunch of our acquisition strategies because ourselves, like in January and February, I don't know if I bought 10 houses a month or 20 houses. I bet in the beginning of the year, we probably bought 30 or 40 houses before COVID hit. And since then, we've only bought a handful. And we haven't bought them at auction for the most part. We have bought some at auction, but we've had to do some big pivots to try to figure out what's next. But as we head into the last few months of the year, I feel like we have a pretty good handle on personally how we're going to go after it. Excited about a bunch of new products for all of our members out there that we're seeing, and maybe we'll do some of that today. Curtis, any thoughts for the end of the year? What you're thinking about?
No, I mean, I think a lot. We talk to customers all the time, and a lot of people are excited for 2020 to be over. I mean, there's a lot kind of riding on 2021, January with the CARES Act and the CDC eviction stuff. So I think we're pretty eager to see what happens with that. And but with all that said, like you said, there's a lot of opportunity out there. The real estate market in most areas has never been this hot, and which gives a lot of opportunity for our investors to be liquid and to flip houses quickly. Yeah.
A couple of things as people look at next week's auction, some strategy stuff. I want to talk to everybody about a property that we bought and listed and kind of what that process was like and how we would look at it a little bit different now than we would have, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, especially. But we had something happen this week. We have a resident in one of our properties. We have a lot of rental properties. We have a resident in one of our properties hasn't made a payment in a really long time. Right. And Curtis had worked with them at different times, went through the eviction process. And we updated everybody about a week ago that as soon as someone filled out that CDC form, when we filed for evictions, the government would also send them the CDC form. They said on there, yes, I would be homeless if I get sent out. If I get evicted, I'd be homeless. I would increase the chance of COVID, but I understand that I owe this. I'm going to pay as much as I possibly can. And to sign those 4 things. Now, what first happened in some jurisdictions, we got that paperwork and the judge automatically extended the writ to like January 4th, right? Yeah. They said, all right, come back at the beginning of the year, which felt very crazy to have, residents that weren't paying rent and that we believed could pay rent getting that extended. But we had something unique happen this week, right? So you guys went to court and went out there and we really said, hey, yes, we understand we've received this, but we're disputing it based on we don't believe he's being accurate, right? Because one of the check boxes is they're going to be paying as much as they can along the way, and they aren't, and they didn't. So that went to court. The judge went back and forth with our resident and with our guy that was there managing it, and he ended up siding with us and saying, you're right. Even though he filled out this form, that form says he's paying whatever he can. He obviously has money because he was showing us in text messages, hey, I'm going to pay you. And he said, you know what, I'm going to submit this form instead. I think some of that went there. Curtis, what do you think about all that? And Zach, hi, glad you're here too. And Rosalind, glad you're here. I love seeing people chime in.
It's been a crazy. We've probably gone to 10 or 15 eviction hearings this last month, and for the most part, judges, like you said, are siding with going with caution and letting residents stay. But what we're seeing now is in 2 cases now we've had courts say that if the resident can't show that either A, they're making a good faith effort to make payments on their rent, then they're going to grant us the eviction. Or B, if we can prove that, hey, the resident, is not has some money or it should be able to pay rent, then they're also going to grant the eviction. So we've got one in Tarrant County where the resident appealed, and he actually had to give a breakdown of all of his expenses in the appeal bond, and in that it showed that he should be able to pay some sort of rent. The judge saw that and so didn't accept the CDC form, and we're waiting for a conclusion on that. But it looks like we've got some success there. And then again, like in Bell County, we had the success where the judge said that if the resident said he could pay rent and then just didn't and wasn't making any kind of effort to do it, that we gave us the writ. So no good news as far we're starting to see some news where judges are just like I think a little bit more informed, and there's some more opinion out there, and they're starting to side more with an investor.
Yeah. So beginning part of our state of the market is today compared to April, May, or June, we have more of our renters in default or eviction status than we've had since COVID started, right? At the beginning, there was a lot of supplemental income out there for people. And as that has dwindled down, we have now recently had some residents stop paying rent and go into the eviction status for the first time since COVID happened. So we have more people in eviction status now than we have. And so we have a lot of rentals. And so if people are thinking about rentals out there, there's just a little bit of a shift. There's a slight shift in that market where there's just a little bit more people in default status than we had recently. So that's something for us to think of now. And then a week or two ago, the other side of that, again, that CDC form, the way the judges first responded to that was really kind of disheartening, distressful, the way that all of a sudden they said, all right, so we're going to postpone this for 4 months instead of looking at that. Now we've actually had judges actually looking at the validity of it, trying to say like, hey, if there still are some exceptions to that rule, if the people are intentionally not doing what they say they're going to be doing. So something to think about there. Another thing I want to talk about. So auction is Tuesday, right? So the auction is coming up this Tuesday, and people say, what do we do for our strategy right now? Because one of the things that we've said lately, and everybody knows, the sales market is crazy. Every time we list a house on the market, we get tons of offers. Every time it goes pending, we still get backup offers. I'm up to like 15 or 16 offers on a house that I listed a few months ago. And I just keep getting offers on it. And it was one that I've talked about a few times that was worth less than what I listed it for. And all of the offers keep coming in higher and higher. So we have a really strong real sales market. And what that also means though, and we also have less auctions coming on the courthouse steps. There's more competition on the courthouse steps. Something that I would challenge people to try is, and it's kind of going to be against our normal process. Our normal process is we're going to buy the house and we're going to fix it up to make it look like new so we can sell it for a premium. But what we're noticing with this weird market, right, is people are going to pay a lot for something even if it's not in good shape, and you're still going to be limited by your appraisal. So even if somebody says, hey, I'm willing to pay $150,000 for that, it might only appraise for $140,000. And if you do paint and new appliances and everything like that, it's not necessarily going to affect appraisal as much as you would think. And so what we're trying right now is a lot of the houses that we're buying, when we're getting ready to resell them and flip them, is we're doing hardly any work to them, right? We're buying them and we're putting a sign up and we're getting offers the next day. And that does a couple of things. That helps speed up the process right now. And that helps realize that like, hey, you're going to get offers as long as people can walk through and imagine themselves being there, even if there's a little bit of work to do. So that's a change in mindset going into auction that I would encourage people as you're looking at your bids this next week. If a house is already in good shape and you usually spend $10,000 or $15,000 to remodel it, look at it and go, hey, so maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll do a minor cleaning, and what would it sell for? That could be something like maybe you're going to sell it for $5,000 less, but you're also going to spend $10,000 less. And Zach said like a wholesale. Exactly. So a wholesale is just like that. Somebody buys it, direct from a buyer, and then instead of doing much work, they put it right back on the market for another investor. Most of the time that's for an investor. This sort of a wholesale that we're talking about is to an end user, because a lot of the end users right now, it's hard to get houses. And so if they're like, hey, I can buy this and I can go ahead and paint it myself and do this myself just so I can get the house. As soon as signs get up, we're getting offers. So that's a new strategy I would tell people to do as they're fine tuning, their bids this next week as auctions coming up. Anything to add to that, Curtis?
No, I think you're right. One thing that we're doing now is looking at the comps in the area, what they're selling for. I think one thing we've talked about a lot is just trying to get properties on the market as quick as possible because of the, how dynamic the real estate market is right now and wanting to take advantage of high prices.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm going to share my screen, try to look at a couple of our kind of statistics that we've been looking at here. So we shared this a lot in our last couple, webinars of what's happening with the market of, month over month, year over year, and just seeing how many more sales happened in July than July of last year. Looking back again at COVID, April and May, orange is 2018, purple is 2019, red is 2020. So when you look at those charts, when you look at April and May, we had less sales in 2020 than we had in 2019. In June and July, we had a lot more that kind of made up for lost time. And August is kind of more back to an increasing market. But when we go down and look at like individual areas, August 2020 down to 1.4 months of inventory. This is the Austin area in particular. Average sales price was $400,000 in April. It's $470,000 this month. Right? That's a 15% increase if I'm doing my math right. And then median was 329. Now it's 355. So that's up, 25%. So that's up about 8% on median. And if you go back all the way back to January, you're talking about an average of 371 to 470 or 305 to 355. All that being said, that means sales prices are way higher right now than they were in January. And it's kind of obvious to everybody that's what's going on, but we have to change our strategy for that. And then we also have to be a little bit careful when people are saying, hey, are we still buying occupied houses right now? We're not buying any occupied houses right now. I'm not personally buying any occupied houses right now because of how unsure that type of market is. But we are renting out houses to new renters. We're just making sure they're really, really well qualified. And because it's just different. It's a little bit different right now. We got to be a little bit more careful. We're looking at statistics. So if you guys are ever looking for what's happening with Texas foreclosures, how many are out there, this is the statistics page at our foreclosure site. And we can go county by county, and we can look over here and say, so Travis County, where Austin is, there's 37 postings this month, just up 2 from the month before. Bear is San Antonio. Now, a lot of the San Antonio auctions have been getting canceled. And so we're up 58 from last month because those are probably some that were going to go to sale and got postponed a month. Curtis, right now, do we think Bear is still going to sale? Do we have any places that are canceling?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're seeing our trustees telling us that there's still stuff posted. The last 2 months in a row, though, that Bear County has canceled the auction the night before the sale. So we're kind of waiting until like 3 o'clock on Monday to feel better and more confident that the sale is going to happen. But as of now, we don't have any indication that the sale itself will actually be canceled.
All right, so that's important for people to think about out there right now. If San Antonio is your biggest market, you might want to have some other counties that you're working on the surrounding area as a backup plan. But the other advantage of that too is if you are there and it does go to sale when other people have been thinking it's going to cancel, you may end up getting a good deal. So in a lot of places, Bastrop, we're up. We doubled the amount of postings over there. Dallas is down a little bit. Harris is up slightly. And when you have 440, that's a Houston area. So when you have 440 posted for auction, that's not that big of an increase. You have just a few places where I'm seeing some big increases. Denton County went from, it looks like from 11 to 27. That's one of the areas that you look at, Curtis. What do you know about Denton County right now?
Yeah, I mean, last month in the month for the August auction, it was kind of like an all-time low. I've never seen. I mean, these are kind of unprecedented numbers to begin with, but we had 11 postings, which was really bizarre. There were, I think, 60 or 70 people that showed up to bid on 3 houses. But now, this month it looks like we're kind of back to normal. Denton County typically tracks with our, similar sized areas like Collin County.
Yeah. Brian is asking, like, what is the reason for the bear auction cancellations? And really, that's just been judges looking at it and trying to, like, at the beginning of COVID, right? There were a lot of places that canceled. A lot of the big places canceled because they were worried about COVID spreading and things like that. But Curtis, what have the bear judges stated for their reason of canceling the auctions?
I mean, it's similar to what you saw in March. They're saying it's for the public health. It's not because of the actual foreclosure. They're saying that it's actually because they don't want people gathering in public in large groups. Which in Bexar County, there's typically 100 to 150 people that will show up, and it's outside in the concert. And it can be concentrated when some of the bigger trustees like auction.com are going, but that's the reasoning. And similar things like that in Harris County.
All right. So one of the other things, so our statistics page, you can look around to see what's there. A lot of counties are looking the same as last month. But a lot of our members also go and they get what we call our struck off list. So we're the only company out there that will go and record what's happening at sale, the time that it happens. So as people are strategizing about what to do next week, where they should bid, they should be looking at last month's results too. A lot of the times when I look at an auction, especially now, I'm going to look at 3 or 4 different counties, and then on Tuesday morning decide where I'm going to go to auction, because we have these different updates that are coming up. So I'm going to jump in and just share our screen on Prophoc. So,
hey, Aaron, while you're pulling that up, I just wanted to, touch back on the Bexar County, foreclosures. The fact that those auctions are getting canceled does not mean that you shouldn't be pursuing those leads, because either those properties are probably going to show up in the next auction. So if you've done your research ahead of time, those are going to be valuable. You'll save some time when we start kind of getting that spigot turned back on. And B, it's buying. There's a real opportunity to buy properties pre-foreclosure still, and it gives you the opportunity to maybe get a better deal since you're not having to bid against other people.
Yeah, it's a good point that even though when the auction gets postponed, the downside is there's no auction to buy at. The upside is we have an unprecedented opportunity to actually buy the houses before auction. It used to be
after auction, right? Like those houses, they're still motivated sellers.
You can still work out a sale directly with that owner.
Yeah.
Before it sells, every time that auction gets postponed, it gives you that new opportunity to keep buying. So wanted to kind of do a refresher on what people are seeing in Prophoc. So Prophoc is our site that everybody has access to. That's also a member at Roddy's. Right. So I just pulled up a couple counties to show some of the updates that we're doing. So I pulled up Williamson County here. And it says, right now there's no opening bids, no cancellations, but one of them does have an opening bid. So that one's Danish Circle. It says it's got an opening bid at 200,000. And so you can use our site to go in and see what that really means. So that's a new home neighborhood opening bid 200,000, which is really interesting because the loan was posted around 238,000. Right. So that means that the lenders are coming out, they're doing a drop bid. They're starting the opening bid at below the amount. Now, when it's auction.com, there's also a chance that they're going to bid it up to a higher amount. So when it says opening bid 200,000, I don't know if it's going to go to that 230,000 that we're recommending, or if it will be that 200,000. So this property is estimated to be worth 270,000. So that tells you, yes, you should still be going. If you're looking between counties though, and you're looking at some of our updates to see what has or has not been updated yet, that's how you can decide which areas you're going to be going between. One of the neat features that we've recently added on Prophoc too is we can go through and we can see kind of some history with that property. We talked about this, a couple weeks ago, but we have, the pre-foreclosure notice here in October. We can see which loans were posted for foreclosure, which one is in default. So it looks like they bought the house for $420,000 in 2009. So and then the loan on it at the time was a $336,000 loan. But right now, since they've been paying out since 2009, we think that the loan might be around $271,000. So that one could be a big opportunity, for a house that's originally, again, they bought it for $420,000. We're saying it's maybe worth $330,000 now, so worth about $90,000 less, but the loan should be a couple $100,000 less than it was originally. So I want to check some of our other auctions, see where we might have some more updates as far as research statuses, because these are a lot of the new things. So we have on here, I just pulled up Collin County. Red means canceled. So that's the trustee said, hey, it's not going to auction already. Now we're adding new updates too, so we could see, does that mean it's canceled because it's sold? Does that mean it canceled because the people paid it off and they're staying there? So we have a few houses that are canceled. So if you were going to Collin County just to bid on this one, I would say, hey, don't go there. Now go to a different county instead. See what your options are. I think people should always be checking out what our updates are. Here's an updated one. Opening bid 130,000. And we pull up the property, and it says it's worth 208,000. Simple home in a new neighborhood. We pull up the property history on it. Looks like when they bought it. I want to see the loan that's in default, 490. So they bought the house in 2018, just 2 years ago. They bought the house for for 250,000 2 years ago, but they did a $50,000 down payment. The loan was only 198,000 on that. So as that $198,000 loan is going to sale, since 2018, I think prices are up strong. So, and it wasn't a new home at the time. I have to imagine that this property will be a good deal out there as you get into auction. Now, good deal depends on what that opening bid starts at and what the opportunity is. Anything you want to add about that one, Curtis?
No, I mean, that particular property, I think that we've been given that as a credit bid by the trustee. So we feel pretty confident that that's going to be, that's the opening bid there. And I guess just to touch on, if you're familiar with auctions, you've heard auction.com open it up. Sometimes let's say they open it up at $130,000, and then they'll bid it up, and then all of a sudden say, okay, we have a credit bid at $200,000. That's the trustee trying to get some action going, and then they're saying, okay, now we're authorized to actually sell it at $200,000. So sometimes we get credit bids from trustees, and then sometimes we're actually getting just opening bids.
That's a good point. It says we're looking on there. We're trying to get everybody the best update, but we're going to see a lot more updates this weekend. We've got different trustees that release their list to us tonight, Saturday and Sunday, and some of them they don't release it until Monday. But Monday night we want people to be logging back in, see where the updates are before they go to auction, and then again after auction they could see what the opportunity was, what things sold for. So I'm going to pull up a historical date in just a second, but this is a new kind of profile sheet that we're working on that will be kind of up to date soon. So as people are putting their drives and things into the system, we have a better organization where it also says what was the most recent kind of status on that one. So like this one, they tried to sell it on the MLS for 650,000 in April, right? So now we're actually showing that most recent status on MLS. That'll help people when they're comping and pricing stuff. There used to be times in the past I would think the comps are a certain way and I would price it a certain way because I missed the fact that it was listed a month prior for a lot less and didn't sell. So you have to look at something and say, hey, if it didn't sell for $649 before, why do I think I might sell it for $649 now, or vice versa? And we get to look around a lot of different houses on here, and it's the same sort of thing. So this one was listed for $105,000 in May of 2019. Right now, we don't have a status on it. There's only a note of around $85,000 on it, and we said that Zillow's estimate says it's worth $129,000. One of the extra features that we've just gotten ready to turn on for everybody, so this is like a beta feature that people are going to see soon, is we'll be able to to jump in and grab comps for different properties. So let me see if my demo can work while we're on here. So now we've got the comparable sales price where we can zoom in and actually see the houses that sold in that area that are now being looped in. We can see them here for when they were sold and how. So these are all recent. So look, sold in June of 2020, June of 2020 here, be all in this little neighborhood. And then we can also chart it. So we go back to when we put it on our chart, this is kind of some of our secret sauce of how to price a property. So we've got, here's this trend line of sales prices, and now we're spitting out just what it should come out to. So we're saying, hey, you should price that house at $186,000. Right, so that is just as clear as it gets. So 186,000 based on all of those comps. They are very linear as you're jumping back into there. And so this one here. So Gail, if I was going to price that one, I would come back and I would edit it and I would put in the sales price of 186,000 as I'm getting ready to get ready for auction. To determine the rest of the stuff in there, we're going to be looking at driving by the property to determine the construction. We're going to plug in what our profit goal is going to be. If I say I'm going to get 10% and 10,000 in construction, then it'll update and it says, hey, my max bid is 150,000. So a lot of tools that we're adding in here just to be able to add extra value. All these extra tools we're not charging anything for. right? So that's one of the coolest things about all these extra features is we wanted to tell people, hey, we're not just a data company anymore. We're not just telling people about the foreclosures. We're providing all this extra software for them to be able to look at it. So as you're getting ready for auction next week, be sure to look at results, see what happened last month in that county so you know where to go. Look at our updates to see if properties are being updated and what their current status is, and be ready to go to auction. If it's your first time, if you've never been to an auction before and you're not ready, but you're interested, I would say go to auction next week on Tuesday, no matter what. Get there around 9:30 in the morning, hang out for a couple hours and watch it, right? See if you recognize a house that's there. Even if you're not ready to bid, the best way you can get into action is go watch an auction on Tuesday, because they only happen once a month. So this is especially in Texas. They happen one every day in California. So if you're in California, you want to find, it's probably like Monday is the biggest auction day you'll want to go to be able to see what's going on. But if you're interested in this at all, next week is the day to go to an auction, see what you can experience, and come back to one of our webinars last week and ask questions about that auction. Tell us what you figured out.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add is I'd encourage you, like Aaron said, get there at 9:30. I'd encourage you to be there as early as possible, because those auctions start, the biggest trustees typically start at 10 o'clock, and it's a jam-packed 1 or 2 hours, and then it tails off. And so if you're trying to observe the auction and just learn more about how that works, I think it's going to be best for you to get there early, observe what that pre-auction process looks like. So find the trustees that, I'd say bring your list, have a list of the trustees, find the Roddy team member that can help you, and then start talking to, finding that trustee ahead of time, and then getting in position to be able to, hear and see what's going on.
And before we jump off, if there's any other questions on there, whether you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, you can add a question right now in the comment, and we'll be happy to review it for you guys before we jump off on here. We just want to do a quick Friday update before auction and let you guys look at what's going on with the state of the market. And if we don't have any questions coming in, Curtis, I don't really have anything to add. Again, happy October. We're into our last quarter of 2020, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens at auction next week.
Awesome. Well, it's good. Good. Thanks everybody for hopping on, and good luck at the auction.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Guys.